Hi, my name is Mickey. I once bought a jacket at a secondhand store and found something that led me to the treasure. But I was lucky enough to witness it. So I was born and raised in a huge city, New York. Many people come here for a dream, but only the strongest succeed. In the rush and game of racing against time and a bunch of competitors, people get treasures for themselves. It came to me by accident. I'll tell you how. I grew up in a wealthy family. I have both parents, but I didn't see my dad frequently because he was always busy working. He skipped all the holidays. Yes, he supported us very well, but we were only formally called family. Dad was there, but he wasn't there. In general, when my school started summer vacation, my friends and I decided to take a walk around the city. On the way, we accidentally ran into a secondhand clothing store. By the way, there you can find very cool, expensive things at a low price. My friends bought it. I was about to go out, but noticed a light autumn jacket. It was branded, and I immediately liked it. I tried it on and bought it. When I got home, I wanted to do the laundry right away and automatically turned out my pockets. A piece of paper fell out of the inner one. I opened it. It was a letter from the previous owner. Dear friend, my name is Alan. I'm 50 years old. I'm a businessman. I am very, very rich and can afford to buy almost anything. But I would like to share my treasures with you. I hope you are a good person and will definitely find what I have hidden for you, the letter said. There was an address on the back. Oh, how glad I was! I couldn't believe my eyes. Am I going to find treasure and my dad will finally be able to quit his job and spend more time with us? My smile never left my face. I lay down on my bed and just started dreaming about what was ahead of me. The indicated location was not close. I had to go to another city, which is about 2 hours away, to find a park and a place where the treasure is hidden. I arranged with my friend Robin to go there in my car. We told our parents that we would spend the night at each other's houses. We left together early in the morning. I couldn't wait to see what was prepared for me. On the way, I imagined myself discovering what I wanted. Robin kept saying that if there was $1 million fortune there, I would have to buy him a new wristwatch, because he broke the last one at a party. Although Robin was completely born with the silver spoon, he was a loyal friend, so that's why I took him with me. You just need to get something for free, I told him. Oh, the most greedy people are the rich, he said and laughed. I thought about it for a while. Hell, he was right. When my father first started his business, we first wanted to earn a small apartment and a car. When everything worked out, the needs also grew. Then the parents wanted a bigger house and a cooler car. When we achieved this, my father wanted a few-story house, servants, a huge garage, several cars. And everything worked out. Only he was less and less at home. My mother didn't say, but I could see how lonely she was without him. She always said that no matter how much my father earned, her greatest treasure was still me. It was nice. I guess that's what all moms tell their kids. A couple of hours later, we reached the right place, guided by the note. Robin and I carefully searched for the right tree. The treasure was hidden right under it. I brought a shovel that had been prepared in advance. Robin screamed like a madman when we saw the same mark on the tree as in the letter. My heart was pounding at that moment. I wasn't even this nervous about opening presents on New Year's Eve, probably because this one is special. We dug as hard as we could. Doing this in the middle of the day in a public place was harder than we thought. We tried not to arouse suspicion, but we still looked like idiots. The treasure was buried deep enough. In the end, my spade struck upon something hard. Hooray! This is it! Robin immediately dropped to his knees and helped dig with his hands. The cherished box appeared in a couple of minutes. It's too small for $1 million. Can there be receipts? Asked Robin. Shut up, you've been telling me all about money, I told him. Well, what could be more precious than treasure? My friend asked. At this moment, I opened the box, and there were strange things. Old battered pictures of people, stamps, small table chests, movie tickets from 10 years ago. Among all this, I found a letter. There were different feelings intertwined in me. This is not what I had expected at all. I thought that there would at least be a bar of gold. And here, some garbage. Then I opened the letter. Hi, I'm the Alan. You probably got my note and found the treasure. Well, are you upset that it's not money? Ha ha, my friend. Now listen to me a little. I wrote this letter before my death, and since you're reading this right now, I'm probably dead. Now, I'm dying of a disease that can't be cured, and no matter how much money you have, death takes both the poor and the rich. I wrote in my last letter that I am very rich, but I am lonely for the same reason that I am rich. I was chasing material values. I ran so fast that I didn't notice that time was faster anyway. I've managed to build an entire empire in my entire life. But for what? I still don't have an heir. It was only when I faced my invincible enemy, my disease, that I realized this. I am writing to you to share with you what is truly valuable. Memories, he said. When I read all this and touched the objects, it seemed to me that I was him. I live his life through memories. It was genuine. Robin and I read the letter, completely immersed in another life. It seemed to me that I even felt a pain inside me from longing. Money can't buy a real treasure, Alan wrote. When we finished the reading, Robin sat motionless for another 5 minutes. I could hardly hold back my tears. All Alan asked was that we continue this. When I got home and saw my father, the first thing I did was run up to him, hug him hard, and tell him everything that had happened. My mother was crying bitterly, probably because she was the most worried about our family. My father was silent for a long time. Then he looked at us as if for the first time. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't seem to understand it until now." A month later, my family and I collected all the most valuable items and carefully put them in a box, and then buried it on a wild beach in our city. I wrote a note to a future friend, hid it in the same jacket, and gave it to a second-hand store. Who knows? Maybe it will help someone else look at themselves from the outside and remember that the most valuable things money cannot buy.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophie. Today I will share my story. Maybe you will judge me, but in the end I had to do it. Free myself, so to speak. I sold mine precisely. In general, I will tell you from the beginning. My father was a pilot, and as you know, they are rarely at home. Permanent work, training in other countries, business trips. But despite this, I loved it very much and always looked forward to it. Every time he visited a new country, he brought a gift that we thought was a talisman. At times when I missed my dad very much, or when I had bad moments, I would open the box with talismans. They were very reassuring. It was like sitting by the river, watching the current and finding new strength. I had in my collection a rhinoceros from Africa, a silk handkerchief from Turkey, a wax figure from Prague, and many, many other most interesting and unusual things. But the most important of them was the Hierophant stone. This non-ordinary talisman, it was as if there was an unusual amount of energy in it. He gave a lot of strength and self-confidence. I didn't get it easily. This stone is not for sale, and it could only be found in India on a high mountain in a temple. The Buddhists would only entrust this stone to a few, namely those who would bring the letter. In the letter, the future owner of the amulet had to state about himself, views on life, promised to change himself and treat all living beings with pure intentions and soul. In general, there was a whole book dedicated to this stone and the letter. The Buddhist opened the letter, read aloud, and after which of these stones changed its color from black to blue, he gave it to them. Let me remind you that this happened very rarely. They came from all over the world, and only a few managed to buy this precious stone. Once my father finally took a vacation and we all had to fly to the sea. I took advantage of the moment to persuade to take a vacation to India. To be honest, I spent half a year on the letter, hundreds of times reworked, thought about almost every letter. I prepared carefully for the meeting with the Buddhist, and the rest of my family was a great happiness for me. Therefore, the vacation was long awaited. Well, this moment came, and we went on a journey. The time passed very cheerfully. We spent so little time together, and I tried to enjoy every second of it. On the last day of our trip, my dad and I went to the same mountain. We specifically left it for the last day in case I didn't get the stone, so as to not spoil our vacation. The climb was not easy. On the one hand, it was hard to climb so high, and on the other, I was very worried. Having overcome 1,000 steps, my expectations were fulfilled. I got my long-awaited stone, Hierophia. My intentions were sincere, and the amulet was to my liking. It was the perfect end to a vacation. It was very sad to leave India, but my father promised that we would fly here again in a year. But unfortunately, life has its own plans. After a month off, my father went back to work. On the first day, there was a terrible plane crash. The plane crashed, and my world collapsed with it. The bright days turned to gray. My adolescence aggravated my condition, and that good-natured, cheerful girl died in me. Even after the anniversary of my dad's death, my depression didn't go away. It just kept getting worse. And then my mother decided to move to another city. The psychologist recommended getting rid of all things related to Dad, but we couldn't make up our minds and just left the house and moved to another city with the necessary things. In my memory, the days passed quickly. A new city, a new society replaced my boring, meaningless days. I began to open up to people again, to communicate. This fate and I cannot return and change everything. With such thoughts, I tried to awaken in myself the girl who existed when Dad was alive. It was very difficult to cope. Over time, we had a hard time with money because Dad provided for us. After 5 years, my mother and I were forced to sell the house that we once left in memory of my father, and all things with it. While flipping through the internet, I saw the stone Hierophia. The author wanted to buy it, but I did not pay attention, thinking that someone was just joking and soon forgot about this ad. First of all, I had to sort out my box with talismans. I sat from morning to evening. My head was swimming with thoughts with different memories. I realized that I really missed these gifts. But no matter how much I thought about it, I just couldn't get rid of them and decided to keep everything for myself and find the strength to get back on my feet and go back to my old life. But that amulet brought from India stopped changing its color, probably because I became a person not with an open soul. I stopped being friendly. I was angry, remembering how much time and effort I'd spent on him. I stroked it again and again, but it also remained insensitively black. Out of anger, I decided to get rid of it. I typed the name of the amulet on the internet, and there were 1,000 ads for its purchase. People were willing to give millions for this little amulet. Gradually, my anger turned to excitement, and I imagined how my mother and I could get rich in an instant. I didn't think to put the stone up for sale. From the first day, a dozen calls came, and with each call, the amount for the amulet increased. Greed took possession of me. I was waiting for a buyer who would offer more. More than what amount? I didn't know yet. After much thought, I put up for auction my own, or rather my father's and my amulet. The auction lasted all day, and at the end of it, $2 million was offered for the stone. Without a drop of regret, the next day I handed it to the next owner. At that time, it was the right decision for me. It seemed that I helped my mother, and we got rich. But over time, the anger faded, and the mind came to itself. I felt very bad and ashamed. I forgot the most important thing, that the only owner of the amulet is only me, and the amulet is not worth any money, because this is what's left of my dad. The amulet linked me to past vivid memories of my father. I realized that when I held it in my hand, I could feel my dad's presence next to me, and the energy in him gave me more strength and confidence. Parents' gifts are priceless and can never be returned. My mother reminded me of all this when I handed over the money for the amulet. She cried for a long time, didn't understand why I became so selfish. Along with it, did not understand me. I seem to have sold my loyalty to my father along with the amulet. After all, every item in this treasured box is a part of my father, and the stone was his heart. It's a pity that I realize this only now. And apparently, nothing can be fixed.